Hello everyone, and welcome to Prepare to Write. My name is Dr. Allie Johnston, and in this video we will be discussing how to write a public argument letter. Argument, particularly public argument, is the best way to put your rhetorical skills into practice. You will need to understand who your audience is, present yourself as an authority on the topic, incorporate strong evidence, and where appropriate, elicit an emotional response to strengthen connections. A public argument is an argument about a current issue that is meant to be shared in real-world spaces, such as newspapers, committee hearings, business meetings, and debates. You're not just arguing a point to your professor, you're speaking real-world audience that has a vested interest in the topic and adding your voice to the conversation. Often these arguments move beyond just establishing that an issue exists to proposing possible solutions for how to address them. Public argument prepares you for situations you will encounter in your career and as a member of local, national, and global communities. Audience is the most important element of the rhetorical situation. If we don't understand who our audience is, it will be impossible to succeed at our rhetorical goals. This is particularly true when it comes to public argument. To help you choose an audience and better understand how to present the issue effectively to them, here's a list of things to consider when conducting an audience analysis. Your public argument letter contains 5 sections: the introduction, proof of the issue, proposal for a solution, counter-argument and refutation, and the conclusion. The proof of issue and proposal sections will likely contain multiple paragraphs and should be the main core of the letter. In the first core section of your letter, you will need to prove that the issue is actually an issue. To do this, you first want to provide some basic background information to establish a shared pool of knowledge with the audience. Once you have established the facts of the situation, you will want to explain how big the problem is, its underlying causes, and why it needs to be addressed. In the second section, you will propose a solution or series of 2 to 3 optional solutions that you think should be implemented to address the issue. These should be workable solutions, so you'll need to think about the logistics, the manpower, money, materials, etc. that would be required. In the third section, you will write a counter-argument and a refutation. A counter-argument is an opposing viewpoint. A refutation is your response to that opposing viewpoint. You could anticipate potential backlash to your claims about the severity and scope of the issue, or about the specific solution you are proposing for it. For this reason, the counter-argument and refutation may be its own paragraph near the end of the letter, or it could be worked into the proof of issues or proposal sections. In order to create strong arguments in these core sections, you will want to make use of the rhetorical appeals: logos, ethos, pathos, and kairos. Before you begin writing, consider the kairos of your argument. Is your issue currently in the news and on your audience's mind? If so, you're golden. If not, you will need to consider how to make the issue fresh for them. If your issue is on something that is happening on a national or global scale, you can start by discussing how widespread it is. However, you will need to quickly scale it down to your local context to show your audience this is an issue that affects them and people they care about. As you write your proposal for a solution, make sure that you conduct research on what solutions have already been tried in the area or what initiatives the community is planning to implement. You don't want to propose something that didn't work or that's about to be rolled out. Additionally, you want to consider what resources are available within your community to realize your solution. Proposing a $5 million project to a city council whose entire annual budget is only $50 million is a good way to get ignored. Next is ethos. It's easy to incorporate ethos into your argument, even if you don't currently feel like an expert. Maintain formal and correct grammar and vocabulary. Once you have all of your ideas on paper, proofread carefully to ensure that you do not have any errors, because there are audiences who may read your writing and judge it based on a misplaced comma rather than the points that you make. Demonstrate that you are knowledgeable through the facts that you include. Borrow ethos from the authors in your annotated bibliography, and choose the information you pull from your sources carefully to ensure they offer the strongest evidence for your claims. Also, don't rely entirely on one source. Show the audience that you have done significant research on the topic by using multiple sources throughout the argument. Make sure that your voice remains the loudest by explaining what the sources mean and the expanding or connecting their ideas. Indicate your connection to the topic. If you have a personal experience with it, include that information. This will help establish your credentials. Acknowledge possible weaknesses in your argument. While this may seem contradictory, acknowledging potential flaws means you have thought through your argument thoroughly and are open to further conversation to help improve it. Similarly, show that you have considered other positions and viewpoints. This is why we include the counter-argument refutation. Again, it shows you have done your research and come to the conclusion that you did after weighing all. While it may not seem like a good idea to use pathos in an argument letter to a person in authority, it can actually help to create a stronger connection with the audience. If the audience feels that you share some of the same values or beliefs related to the issue, then they will be more likely to engage with your arguments from a positive or neutral stance rather than a negative one. Because this is a letter, you can speak directly to them. Using you is not forbidden, though you do want to use it strategically. The introduction is a particularly good place to incorporate pathos by appealing to the audience's emotions. Get them to feel anger, fear, excitement, compassion by giving a striking statistic or including an anecdote from one of your sources. Once they are in the right emotional headspace, then you can shift to your main arguments. Making use of thick description can also help paint a picture of the problem for the audience, allowing them to understand the issue in a more personal way than statistics alone can achieve. However, don't overdo it. Most people can tell when you're trying to tug on their heartstrings, and if you push the pathos too much, your arguments will seem disingenuous. Lastly, logos. To incorporate logos, make use of arguments based on fact, definition, evaluation, and cause. Factual arguments make use of quantitative and qualitative data gathered through research. Quantitative data involves numbers, such as statistics. Qualitative data is data that is more descriptive or conceptual. This could include discrete pieces of evidence or specific examples. Often, quantitative and qualitative data are presented together to create a stronger punch. For example, if you wanted to make a factual argument about the need for more parking on campus, you could find out how many students are late to class each semester because they couldn't find a spot, and then share individual stories from students about their experiences finding parking. To format a letter, there's a few things you can expect. You will begin with your name and address on the left-hand side. Include the date, fully spelling out the month. Add the audience's address. In a subject line, briefly state the topic of the argument. Begin the letter with a greeting. You can use "Dear," "To whom it may concern." Make sure you know if there are any titles they would like to be addressed by. For example, doctor, commissioner, senator, etc. Write the body of your letter. In a formal letter, this is usually single-spaced with just a line of space between paragraphs. At the end, sign off using "Sincerely" or "Thank you for your time" or some other closing statement. End with your name. If you have any questions about writing a public argument letter or how to make use of feedback to revise your work, please contact your professor or visit the APSU Writing Center located on the first floor of the Felix G. Woodward Library. Thanks for listening.